Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Morning Mayhem. I'm your host, Chris, coming at you again this week. So excited to have you back with us. If you're returning, if it's your first time, welcome to the Mayhem. We're going to get into it very quickly here today. It's going to be a very short episode. Of course, I've said that before, and I've been wrong by, almost 2 hours, but that won't be the case today. It will be a very short episode. So real quick, couple of housekeeping things, a few things to cover. First, just a quick heads up, there will be no full show on May 17th. So I know that's like a month away, and you're like, Chris, why are you giving us a heads up? Just want you to be aware, I'm not taking any time off from doing the show necessarily. I know a lot of times, especially new YouTubers can get discouraged and want to take time off. And I have done that in the past when tiptoeing into this little medium and whatnot. But I'm not taking time off to catch my breath or get away or anything like that right now. I don't have a vacation lined up yet. But no, I've got some video filming work that I have to do that week. So I will be tied up doing that. As many of you know, I do filmmaking on the side, and I do have a job coming up that week. It's going to eat up most of my time. But what I will do is I will try to do some kind of special or something and release it that Friday. So, I don't leave you guys empty handed, because what else would you do on a Friday morning without some mayhem, right? So a heads up on that. Today's rundown, I'll go through that real quick, and there's a little cliffhanger there at the end, little excitement there. But today's rundown, we're going to talk about Biden pushes the same lie of student loan debt forgiveness to buy more votes. Alex Jones was set up, and the intelligence community is in on everything. Biden could be off the ballot in Ohio, and possibly more, but at least Ohio there. And then, the other exciting thing is our very first episode of Mayhem Reacts is going to come out this Saturday. So we're going to be a little short on this full show in order to leave a little time for that segment to come out on Saturday. It's going to be Saturday morning. It's going to be our first episode of Mayhem Reacts. Want to see how that goes. It's kind of a reactions review kind of series that we're starting. I mentioned that before. Finally going to come out with one, and this one's going to be on the new Joker trailer that just came out. So if you've already seen it, cool. I have not. I have avoided it like the plague. I've seen several of the guys that I watch roll through that. I think it was Geeks and Gamers. I was watching them the other day, and they started to get ready to play it, and I was like, no. So churned it. No. Turn that off real quick because I want it to be a genuine reaction. I spoke last week about how much I enjoyed the first Joker. All right, there, that little guy, and was really excited about the second one. Maybe not so much because it's going to be a musical. Again, we talked about that more last week. Go watch last week's episode to kind of get my feels on that. But I am excited to check out the trailer because, curiosity killed the cat, right? But all that and more coming up in a little bit. But first, all right, so a couple of weeks ago, we did the Quiet on Set. We talked about the film coming out, and I kind of gave my thoughts on what I was thinking it was going to be like. Then I watched it. I gave my review of it. And during the review, I did point out that there is going to be, or was at the time, going to be an episode 5 that gets released. That was released this past Sunday. And I told you last week that I would watch it, my wife and I. We did watch it. I definitely have some thoughts on it. So let's get into that real quick. Kind of talk about the ins and outs of it very briefly, because there's not a lot to talk about. In fact, if you tell somebody something like, hey, you should watch The Godfather, and they look it up and they say, oh, well, there's The Godfather Part 1, 2, and 3. I should watch all 3? No, 1 and 2 is good. 1 and 2 is good. That's all you need. Oh, The Terminator's another one you suggested. Should I watch all those? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. That's all you need. It's kind of the more of the same with this. Quiet on Set, as mind-blowing, as devastating, as heartbreaking, or whatever you want to call it. Just, it was very well done, and it was deep, and it was eye-opening, of course, to a lot of the conspiracy theories that have been floating around forever. Conspiracy theories are just really facts that have yet to be proven, I think. In fact, we're going to be talking about a conspiracy theorist a little bit later on. But yeah, so it's something we've always kind of known. It's been in the stratosphere for Hollywood and kids. But episodes 1 through 4 of Quiet on the Set, or Quiet on Set, I keep adding the, when you get older, you add the on everything. Like I was on the Facebook, or I went down to the Walmart. It's coming, guys. It's coming if you're not there yet. But Quiet on Set, we did enjoy it for what it was, appreciated it for what it was, for episodes 1 through 4. I keep stressing that. So episode 5 came out, and wasn't great. It really wasn't. This is from LA Times, Quiet on Set, key takeaways from the documentary series bonus episode. I'm just going to read a couple of the headlines down here. I'm not going to read through everything and kind of give you the feedback, because they do a pretty good job of hitting the headlines. Drake Bell says he has not heard from any of the people who wrote letters in support of Brian Peck. Yeah, so if you've watched it, you know that Brian Peck was the one that essayed him, Drake Bell, and he did go to jail and serve time and all this and that. Of course, then he got out and got a job at Disney working with kids. As Biden says, not a joke, not a joke. But yeah, when Drake went to court, which of course he was underage, so this was all John Doe at the time. When he walked in the courtroom, Brian Peck's side was completely full of celebs and producers and whoever. And his side was just him and his mom and whoever, just less than a handful of folks probably. But not only that, but there was a lot of people, a lot of celebrities that wrote letters on behalf of Brian Peck, the guy that assaulted a child, a minor, a boy, multiple times. And then more, and then some. But yeah, what he was saying here is that some of the people he knows personally, he's even seen them since episodes 1 through 4 aired. He's even been in the same location as some of these people that wrote those letters, and they still haven't apologized or talked about or anything. Look, I get it. It may be a difficult conversation to bring up, but I think sometimes you just got to suck it up and have it. And admit that you were wrong. Because a lot of these guys have said they're wrong. Some of the guys from, the 2 guys from Boy Meets World said on their podcast that they were misled by what was going on, and they regretted doing it. Yet they've been around Drake or know Drake, and they haven't reached out to him personally to tell him that. So, you know, part of me wants to criticize him, and part of me says, I get it, but I'm sorry, man. When you go out like that and you find something out, you got to reach out to your homeboy and let him know. To me, that's just being a man, being a person of honor. And you don't say it on your podcast and get your views and this and that. You reach out and you let them know, because it's something intimate, it's something personal. It's hard hitting, you know. What's this other one here? Black actor Raquel Lee Boulay shares a degrading sketch in which she was spit on by Amanda Bynes. I didn't think it was her. I thought she was saying that somebody else did. I don't know. This was actually, and this is what kind of irritates me a little bit. The first 4 episodes of Quiet on Set were clearly directed by a duo team of well-capable women, I believe it was, that put all this together. They had a team around them, you know, good lighting, cinematography, set design, you know, audio quality. I mean, it was a well conducted documentary or docuseries. All right. Then you get to episode 5. Episode 5 looks like a news report. They had a moderator, host kind of person there talking, and we'll get into her in a minute. But it seemed like the very first thing they did is they opened up with Drake Bell saying, how was it after the episodes aired? And they got his feedback over a Zoom call or something. And then after that, pretty much the rest of the show was about the not having enough black actors back in the 90s. You know, when some of the top actors on the show were Keenan and Kel, who even got their own show. And then there were others too, but you know, apparently at one time there were 2 black actors on all that, and 2 out of whatever it was, 7, 12, or I don't know how many, just wasn't enough, I guess. And, you know, I get it. A lot of what they talked about for the majority of the show was racism and DEI. And it felt, and don't get me wrong, I get, hey, some of the sketches you can make a solid argument were probably racist. Some of the stuff like this one right here, like, oh, the lead actress had to spit in the other actress's face. Well, I don't think, you know, you have to make a stronger case than that to say it's racist. It's like, oh, well, the girl was black, so because she spit in a black girl's face, it's obviously racism. Well, the black girl couldn't have been in the sketch at all. It could have been a white girl, and then you'd be complaining that there wasn't a black girl in the sketch. So maybe you're right. I'm not gonna completely disregard that. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was racist. Maybe you're wrong. I think again, I said this last time, I think we're looking too deep into some of this stuff and applying stuff from what we know now to things then that may be taking it out of context, honestly, or we're applying rules and thoughts of today to yesterday. And that happens all the time. You see all kinds of movies and shows and books and everything getting canceled today because they don't meet today's standards, even though they were written 50, 60, 100 years ago. Surprised they haven't canceled the Bible yet. I'm sure they've tried. Let's hit something else here. Shane Lyons alleges that Peck made inappropriate sexual comments to him. This is a guy that said that he was on the show too. He's a little chubby dude. When he was on the show, wanted to be like Chris Farley. Look, I get it. I've been a little chubby dude, and I'd love to be like Chris Farley. But it seemed like this guy kind of came out, again, no disrespect, but I'm telling you my opinion of it. Seemed like he kind of came out of nowhere, wanted his 15 minutes to be back in the spotlight, and said, yeah, my relationship was different. I had a good relationship with everyone, although he did hit on me. Brian Peck, he was inappropriate when dealing with me. I was a child and they were adults, and they were talking about blue balls in front of me, and they looked at me and said something about blue balls. That could have just been adults being inappropriate. I know plenty of adults that are inappropriate, and that could have just been adults inappropriate. And maybe he just wishes he got hit on. That's a terrible thing to say. And I'm going to be taken out of context if anyone wants to cut this, but I'm just saying it didn't seem like it fit the heights of what Drake went to. And it was just added for no reason. It's like they were like, how can we get another episode in here? Let's make episode 5. Let's get this guy in here. Let's see what he has to say. Giovanni Samuel said she told Schneider she was terrified of him. So this was a good one. Schneider actually reached out to her, this one of the actresses, and said, hey, look, I heard you're going to be on the show. Can you actually say something on my behalf? Or can you, be on my little rebuttal video? And, did I do anything wrong to you? We had a great working relationship. And she said that she told him that he terrified her, which good for her. If she said that to him and she stood up to him, good for her. Again, it's different now being an adult than it was back then when it was a child. You feel helpless and you feel like you can't do anything. And, good for her for standing up to him. But that was another one that was hit. And yeah, I think that's it. But I tell you again, and look, racism is wrong. Racism is absolutely wrong. But a lot of stuff that's not racist is being presented as racist. A lot of people that aren't racist are being called racist. We talked about that. What was it, last week? When anybody criticizes folks on the left, you're instantly a racist or a sexist or whatever. But so much, and I mean so much of episode 5 seemed to focus on alleged racisms and DEI. And it seemed out of place. And again, I'm like, why is this here? What is the difference between this and the first 4 episodes? So I said, who is this lady doing the interviews, right? Because she seemed kind of new. And no, this is not me messing up the crop of this picture. Somebody doesn't know how to resize images, but this is the website Deloitte, I guess. I don't know. But the woman that did the hosting, I guess you would say, of episode 5 was Soledad O'Brien. She's a journalist. It says journalist Soledad O'Brien on the importance of sharing authentic stories, making DEI a business imperative, and why we need leaders who stand by their values. I'm just going to read this part to kind of give an idea of who this woman is. It says Soledad O'Brien. Let me pull that up a little bit more. Soledad O'Brien is a documentarian, journalist, producer, speaker, author, and philanthropist She is also an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the media and across industries. At Deloitte's second annual Chief DEI Officer Forum in June 2023, O'Brien told attendees, DEI is not about being a good person or doing a favor for our community. It's about sound business strategies to get market share, to be able to recruit the best. So again, this is a woman that is a fan of something that's new, this diversity thing. And I say it's new. We've always had diversity, but this forced diversity, this fake diversity, this check a box diversity, not what she's saying, not the hire the best diversity. It's you better have these boxes checked of gay, lesbian, black. You have to have just about everything but white. And if you have white, that's fine. I think that's just standard or something. I don't know how that works. And again, if you have like an all black show, then or an all gay show or whatever, it doesn't matter if you don't have anybody else, because that's enough to meet your agenda there. And I hate it. I absolutely do. I'm a filmmaker. My partner in filmmaking is a black guy. And most of the people we work with, to be fair, are black. But again, that's just how it all worked out. We don't set out to say we're going to make a film that has X, Y, Z in there. No, we're just going to tell really, really good stories. And if it involves black folks, we're going to have black folks. If it involves white folks, it's going to have white folks. And if it doesn't matter what the race of the person is, we'll do a casting call. We'll pull in whoever that we think is going to be right for the role, and we'll do it. Don't care about all that stuff. And I wish the entertainment world wouldn't care about it either. And of course, businesses like, pilots shouldn't be hired on the color of their skin. It definitely should be hired on their ability to fly a plane safely. I have yet to ever fly, but I hope to God that if I ever do, I get on a plane, I can feel confident that the person that is flying that plane got there because they were the absolute best, not because they checked a box. So again, God bless this woman for wanting to, push modern day DEI agenda stuff out there, but she's incorporating that into a show from the 90s. And that seems to be why they spent a lot of time on that. That kind of answered my question there. But lastly, a little light at the end of the tunnel here. This from Yahoo Entertainment. It says quiet on set directors are committed to continuing the investigation into allegations of toxic culture. What does that say? At Nickelodeon. And I believe elsewhere too. So again, they did a really good job at putting this together. I think it was good that they did this. I would like to see more. I know Corey Feldman's someone who's been spoken out. We see everything that's going on with Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever you want to call him, the Diddler, and he's getting exposed. His people are getting exposed, and more people are starting to kind of come out and speak out against him. Again, we started the year with Cat Williams saying everything was going to be exposed this year. So absolutely support these guys. I do personally, and you can too by just going out and watching Quiet on Set. Again, you don't have to watch episode 5. It has almost nothing to do with 1 through 4, which is the main story. But go and watch it, give them your views, your hours of time, or whatever it is, to show them that there is an audience out there that wants to support this work. And hopefully they'll continue doing it, because I really do think that we need to expose these terrible, terrible human beings for who they truly are. All right, here's one that you probably weren't expecting to see, but this is from AP News. It says Biden could miss the deadline for the November ballot in Ohio, the state's election office says. Let's read a little bit of this and we'll talk about it. Let's see. Toledo, Ohio. President Joe Biden could be left off the ballot in Ohio this fall unless the state's Republican-dominated legislature, remember this part because we're going to come back to it, the Republican-dominated legislature creates an exception to the ballot deadline, or the Democratic Party moves up its convention, according to the office that oversees the state's elections. Ohio's deadline to certify presidential candidates for the general election is August 7th, nearly 2 weeks before the Democratic National Convention, at which Biden is expected to be nominated to run against Republican challenger Donald Trump. Ohio law requires that presidential candidates be certified 90 days before the general election, which is November 5th this year, said a letter written last week by Paul DeSantis, chief legal counsel for Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose. Please contact me as soon as possible with any information that can assure this office of timely compliance with the Ohio law, the letter said. Remember that part. The Biden campaign said Monday that it does not expect the snag to keep the president off the ballot. We're monitoring the situation in Ohio, and we're confident that Joe Biden will be on the ballot in all 50 states, the campaign said in a statement. All right, so a few things. Remember when several states changed their voting laws back in 2020 that overwhelmingly benefited the Democrat Party, you know, from the drop boxes, mail-in ballots and whatnot. And a lot of them that did it were doing it illegally, meaning like they didn't get the proper sign-offs from the state Supreme Court or the state Senate or whatever, you know. And they were just doing it and they were getting away with it until after the fact. And then sometimes some of the states it was found that it was unlawful, it was illegal, and it shouldn't have been done. But it's already over. It's too bad. It's so sad. But that was Democrat-run states or, you know, election officials running that for the Democrats, helping out the Democrats, right? Let's see, what do we have here? Again, this was a Republican Secretary of State literally begging the Biden team to get with him and said, hey, look, let's make sure we get you on this ballot. Please. We don't want you to miss out on this. And you see this stark difference between a state that already has a rule in place that's trying to make sure they are fair and balanced versus in 2020, when we had several states that just upended their rules and laws and regulations for voting and just changed them at the last minute on a dime to overwhelmingly benefit one side over the other. Doesn't sound like fairness to me. Doesn't sound like the most free and fair election to me, but hey, YouTube doesn't like if I say something like that. There may even be a little thing down at the bottom now from Wikipedia or whoever, I don't know. But yeah, if that isn't a great comparison between the difference of these two parties, right? On one hand, you've got one that's willing to lie, cheat, and steal to win an election. And on the other hand, you have the Republican Party. Some say the Republicans don't do enough to fight back the Democrats because they want to be fair. They want to be balanced. They want to uphold the Constitution and stuff. And I get that. But then sometimes you just have to fight fire with fire. If Biden doesn't do what he's supposed to do, or the Democrat National Convention doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and Biden doesn't qualify to get on that state ballot, he better not be on that ballot. Because then you are following the rules without making exceptions for this idiot. You guys know what the rules are. Play by the rules, and then maybe you can get on the ballot. It's going to really piss me off if they bend their rules or make exceptions for someone who knew the rules ahead of time. But then again, who would Biden be or his administration be if they actually played by the rules? Hey guys, while I got you real quick, do want to talk to you again about one of my favorite brands that I buy online. That's Coffee Brand Coffee. They serve people who are sick of the gimmicky companies who offer marketing in place of truly great, fresh, roasted coffee. The fulfillment and roasting facilities are located right here in the United States. Each purchase is hand roasted to order. That means they wait until they receive your order before they fire up the roasters. Lastly, again, it's just delicious. For the best coffee, tea, and cocoa, visit coffeebrandcoffee.com today and use promo code MAYHEM to save you some 5% off their already awesome prices. Not only that, but Jeremy Hambley over at The Quartering, it's his coffee company, they've got a great point system in place that it speaks to it all on the website, breaks it all down. You're going to be earning some additional points and benefits and rewards. So the discount was 10%, went down to 5%, but at the end of the day, you're really going to be better off because of the reward system that they have in place for you. So again, go check out coffeebrandcoffee.com. Direct link will be in the description below. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this fun story. Ha 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 ha. Crazy conspiracy theorist they're turning the frogs gay. Aluminum foil hat wearing Alex Jones, right? He said all the time, oh, they're setting me up. They're going after Trump. He was right. Okay. Right here, Sound Investigation just recently came out with this, and other people have covered this, but it's one of those things where if not enough people cover it, not enough people are going to know about it. So I don't want to get swept under the rug. People need to know it. Democrats need to know it. Democrat voters, not the people high up, they already know about it. Democrat voters, listen to this. This is for you. This is the thing that I was talking about like 3 weeks ago, about the whole bloodbath thing. When Trump said bloodbath, all liberal media took it out of context and tried to lie to you and say that he said something he didn't say. Not only that, but I showed you other examples about stuff they've left out, and it completely changed the context of what he was talking about, Trump, right? I don't care if you vote for Trump. I want you to understand that these people are lying to you, that the news media doesn't care about you, and they want to lie and manipulate you. I want you to get pissed off about that. Now, if that doesn't make you vote for Trump, that's fine. Maybe you still support Biden and the Democrat Party at large. That's fine. Do your thing. But you've got to understand, I am trying to help these other journalists, content creators, whatever you want to call them, YouTubers, Rumblers, whatever, get out here and spread facts that are not being shared in the mainstream media, or at least not as they should be, because this empowers us, you and me, the people, and they don't like that. Let's look at this. Sound Investigations did an incredible job, and we'll look at this a little bit. I won't play the whole thing. Obviously, I want you guys to go check them out. Link to this Twitter will be in the description below, as any sources I use, FYI. But it says, breaking: CIA officer, former FBI, boasts can put anyone in jail. Set them up. We call it a nudge. FBI did what we wanted with Alex Jones, took his money away, chopped his legs off. Estimates 20 undercover FBI agents at January 6th. Works with some of them now at CIA. FBI uses embellished news, fake social media to really get people mad. So it talks about some of this. I know it already started playing. I'll go back a little bit. But yeah, it's already been exposed that there were over 20 undercover FBI agents or other intelligence officers there on January 6th that were helping the incitement of violence, but yet they went after Trump. So understand this. Chuck Schumer said, I think it was in 20, maybe 21, I don't remember. But Chuck Schumer said, and I'm going to read a quote, so excuse me. He said, "Let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you." Now, this was about Trump going after his own intelligence community, which he should have done, and he did do. And now we see the fruits of that labor. We see what happens when you do mess with the intelligence community. How many indictments does he have? How much money does he have to put up there? And we're gonna understand that's. I'm gonna play this video, and it's gonna help you understand a little bit more about what they're doing and how they're doing it. But they went after Alex Jones. You better believe they went after Trump, and they're going after other folks as well. So I'm gonna play just a little bit of this. I think I got it turned up for you. Let's see.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
I don't have it turned up for you.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How? Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away, chopped his legs off.
Gavin O'Blennis is a contracting officer.
All right, I'm gonna pause it. I think there might be a little bit more I'll play here, but here's a guy. And so since this has come out, this guy's LinkedIn's disappeared, his Facebook page has disappeared. I wouldn't be surprised if not too long from now he may disappear for exposing this. And of course, this is one of those, just like with Project Veritas, or what is it called now? Media group. God, I can't think of his name. O'Keefe Media Group, OMG. with what he's doing with continuing what Project Veritas did, what he was with him, but the undercover investigative stuff, right? They're exposing all kinds of folks. I mean, he just recently was talking to the judge that was over the Trump trial in New York, and he was a creeper big time in a gym, and yeah, he's a weird guy, a little scrawny weird guy. Here they are again. I love my LGB community, but it's I've talked about that plenty of my thoughts, but yeah, so often it seems like the ones that do sit down and just spill the tea are gay, and they think they're on a date with another gay person. So it's funny to me. I don't know. Are gay people known to just be more prone to openly speak about stuff and spill the tea and, share confidential information? It seems like that's who they often get. So I don't know. Maybe they're just lucky. I don't know. Here's a little bit more though. He's going to talk about kind of what they did with Alex, and like Alex Jones or not. Again, this is one of those things. Like, I'm not trying to talk you into liking Alex Jones. I'm trying to expose what they're doing to someone that they don't like, whether you like him or not. Again, this should upset you. This is one of those things like most of the United States didn't really care about border security because it didn't directly impact them. Now more states and more cities are experiencing issues with it, and now it does, and now they care. And that's just like what they say when at first they came for the Jews and I said nothing, and then they came for me, something like that. I know I butchered it, but it's one of those things. The intelligence community can go after anyone and everyone. So just because they're going after people you may not like right now does not mean they're not going to start going after people you do like. And if you start speaking up and getting out of line, it doesn't mean they're not going to come after you as well. Keep that in mind. I'm not trying to talk you into liking Alex Jones. I'm trying to expose this corrupt system that we have.
Political commentator Alex Jones's legal battles.
As long as the Bureau is able to progress far enough to be able to put pro-lifers in jail whenever they want.
Yeah.
You think that's on the agenda?
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
You set them up. You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. It's a fine line.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close.
Not officially.
No. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't.
Depending, yeah. We call it a nudge.
They call it
like
a nudge. Where is that?
People mad. Mm-hmm. Post fake news. Sometimes it's not fake. It's embellished a little bit.
Who would be like a big influencer that you're after? You're like I don't even know these names. Like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like.
I'm sure he's on the radar. Right. You always want the biggest and loudest. Like that. What was his name? The one that said the Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Alex Jones.
Yeah. So we were after him.
You are? Are you still after him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's broke. He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
Was that court case used? Was that a CIA
Sure
thing?
was.
That was an agency thing?
Well, actually, it was a defamation case, so it's a civil. Not.
All right, so a couple things. One, they went after Alex to get his money. They're not worried about him anymore. You don't think they're after Trump right now to get his money? You look at the court cases against him and the bonds and the bells and the whatever he's got to pay, the penalties, right? Astronomical amounts we've never seen before. You don't think these guys are behind it? Come on, man. I don't care how much of a staunch liberal, Democrat supportive Biden lover you are, Trump derangement syndrome, Trump hater, never Trumper you are. If you don't realize how jacked up it is that they're slapping him with hundreds of millions of dollars in fines over something petty, and it is something very petty, you've completely got your blinders on and are being dishonest to yourself. Honestly. If they did it to him, they're doing it to Trump, they're doing it to other people too. I'm gonna let him finish up right here, and he talks about kind of the way that they went about it with Alex. Okay, and then we'll wrap up this segment.
Government. But we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, following, like, who's that going to be this to, right? So even though it's technically not our, well, not the agency definitely, but the Bureau, for instance, yeah, that's not our purview. It's a civil matter. But since they got all this access to his stuff and it's there, what can we go find?
And did you find anything?
I can't tell you if we did. But, so, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, realize the opportunity that you have.
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
Probably. It wasn't my office, but, I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what? Just to bankrupt him? What?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau?
Yeah, all right. So this is the part I was looking for. So again, the nudge thing, right? They didn't go after Alex. They encouraged the families to do it, make it a civil thing, and go after all his money. Listen to this, and we're done. I'm sorry, guys.
Encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like a nudge?
We don't encourage people,
But like,
we just say there's no federal statute being broken, but you do have the option for a civil case, and it's a pretty good case.
nice.
In our opinion.
So, that makes so much sense. I have a cousin who's a lawyer. So that's a lot of these cases. They're kind of encouraged by the FBI.
Yeah, like there's nothing federal law we can do, but civilly, we can go at them that way and chop his legs off.
And they did.
Yeah.
So the FBI was happy.
We didn't care. We were like, oh.
Basically, the citizens did your job.
Yeah.
Oh, how sad. This is a former FBI agent, CIA, whatever. What was he? He was CIA officer, former FBI, boasting about pushing citizens, families of Sandy Hook survivors or Sandy Hook victims or whatnot, to go after Alex Jones, cut his legs off, take all his money, and basically paralyze this man from doing anything and everything, taking his life away, his livelihood for sure. And now he's got other people that work for him that were at January 6th, like on the grounds, but never went inside, and they were arrested. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but they continue to get away with it because it continues to get swept under the rug again by liberal mainstream media, possibly even conservative mainstream media. And because people like me and some of these other people talking about it are not as big, it's harder for us to get our message out. So I do encourage you that if this is something that it is enlightening to you, something that ticks you off and you think more people need to hear it, by all means, like, share, subscribe, send it to a friend, whatever. Again, all these segments are going to be clipped out and released individually. You can just take this one little segment when it's released, share it with whoever you want to share it with, and let them know that this kind of stuff is going on. And it will continue to go on until somebody handles it. Come on now. Land of the free and home of the brave. Not if we don't take our country back. Guys, we're going to get into this next segment. It is the last segment of the show today. It's one I like to call The Federal Government is Clueless.
You suck.
Well, I hope you enjoy that bumper as much as I do. But we're going to go ahead and get into it because, again, this could have been there's something wrong with Biden, but I feel like because there's so many people that believe this in the federal government, that push it, that support it, and the public believes this, some of it. I felt like this was a better segment for it to belong in. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article from CNN. It says Biden races to enact new student loan forgiveness plan ahead of when? November. When is the election? November. I feel like this is also familiar, right? Student loan forgiveness. He's trying to roll it out before election in November. He did this before, right? And what was it? 2022 midterms. He did this. And the gullible people were like, yay, he's going to forgive my student loan debt. And then the Supreme Court says, oh, you cannot do that. And he already knew he couldn't do it. That's the thing. There's been several things that Biden has tried to do that are outside of his purview of his job. He does not have the authority to do it. Student loan debt forgiveness is one of them. Right here, again, this is going from CNN to CNN, right? This is, hey, April 8th, 2024, he's trying to push it. June 30th, 2023, the Supreme Court blocked it. Blocked it from when? From 2022, when he tried to push it before the midterms. He is so dishonest, such a liar, and such a, I want to say a cheat, because so many people believe it. He's got you fooled. If you have student loan debt, it cannot be forgiven by the President of the United States. I don't care if it's Biden, if it's Trump, if it's RFK, if it's whoever. As it stands right now, the President of the United States does not have that authority. So if the President of the United States is telling you they're going to do that, number one, they're lying to you. Number two, they're trying to take advantage of your ignorance and your gullibility and get your vote. Once they've got your vote, they don't need your vote anymore until the next election cycle, when they'll try to do it again. And hopefully you won't forget that they lied to you last time. Now, what I do love is every time that this comes out, they said, oh, the Republican-led Supreme Court blocks it because it's unconstitutional. Because it's unconstitutional. We can even point to somebody on their own side who spoke up about this. Nancy?
Here's the thing. People think that the President of the United States, is this more on the subject than you ever want to know? Well, you'll let me know. People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
Thanks, Nancy. Glad you stayed sober long enough to get that message across, loud and clear. So there you have it from the horse face herself, saying that the president does not have the authority to do this. And she was even speaking against Biden at the time that she said this. This was not trying to override Trump or anything like that. It was her own party, which to me, first of all, is shocking. But it's so enlightening and so great to hear that there are still people that recognize that the law can only be applied in certain ways, even though I feel like she is one of the worst human beings alive, one of the worst representatives, a hypocrite. But you know what? She gets it right sometimes. Broken clock is right twice a day, right? But she's right. He does not have the authority. So listen to me very, very carefully. And we're ending the show. Listen to me, though. Final thoughts on this. If you have student loan debt, President Biden will not be forgiving it. That you can actually take to the bank. You cannot trust him. He will not forgive it. You will continue to owe it. And as far as I'm concerned, if you sign the contract to take out the loan, you owe it. It is not up to the taxpayers of this country to pay off your debt that you may or may not have benefited from, but you certainly took advantage of. So love you, mean it, but pay your bills. All right, guys, that's the show for today. I do want to remind you that Saturday morning, we're going to have our first episode of Mayhem Reacts, where we react to the trailer of Joker 2 or Joker 4, whatever the name of the movie is. We're really excited about doing that with you. I hope you'll join me Saturday morning for that. 9 a.m. is when that will be released. Don't forget, every Friday, except for the one coming up in May that I spoke about earlier, Every Friday, we will have our full episode out there at 10 a.m. on YouTube, Rumble, all these platforms over here, and we'll have some shorts over there, or whatever. We'll also break up the full show into the individual segments that we release throughout the week called Morning Nuggets. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And make sure you turn those notifications on, because we will release stuff periodically throughout the week and want to make sure that you guys see that stuff. And if you're following on other platforms, make sure you give us a follow there and support us there as well. And if you will do that for any other of your favorite content creators, I'm sure they would appreciate it just as much as I am. Guys, with that said, love you, mean it. See you next week.
One time a guy handed me a picture of me. He said, here's a picture of me when I was younger. Every picture is of you when you were younger. Ain't that about time someone said that?